name is LaVerne Thraen. It seems to me that the fundamental business philosophy is flawed, because you continually talk about needing to sell energy to bring in revenue. And I really want to make it clear that as a consumer, I'm not trying to buy electrons or radioactive waste or a big piece of coal. What I'm really trying to get from it is electrical service. And for the last 20 years, we've been asking you to digitize these wires, like the phone companies have, to reduce the amount of inefficiency within the distribution system, which is 90% of loss of the energy that you're generating at these centralized plants. And if you had done this, if you had made these decisions, you would not have to send a man out to our apartment building to visually look at an apartment to see why it wasn't using power for the last year, because the apartment building has been renovating that apartment and it hasn't been online. With the smart grid, you could have pinged that and you would have known why, and you could have saved on those labor costs. And when you have outages, which you've threatened that if you don't raise this rate, you will have longer outages because you'll have less personnel and so forth, because you have to cut those services. Again, with the smart grid, you would know exactly which wire, exactly what has gone down, versus sending out a team of people to an area and looking around to see which wires are down, because you're not sure how many wires went down with that particular outage. So, really investing in the efficiency of the distribution system, which you've never done, you don't seem to have done, because you continue to do base load, you would have reduced your overall cost by now. And you would have been shutting down the nuclear power plant, because you'd have been reducing the biggest loss in the system, which is in the distribution of power. And when you needed new power, you could have put small systems next to factories like this particular company. Instead of putting more capacity at a centralized, you would maybe put a natural gas generator on location and reduce that 90% loss. But that's all I want to say about this particular deal. It seems like you've managed us into a corner in which we have to continually pour money into a system that's only using dirty fuels. And you've told us that you won't raise our rates to do renewables. We can't do it, we'll raise our rates. You won't do efficiency because renewables, and you won't do smart grid because you're going to raise our rates, but you're willing to raise our rates continually for the last 10 years to pursue dirty fuels. And really, you could make a lot more. It's less expensive to not use energy. I know you're going to say we have these infrastructure costs, but those would have been reduced with a smart grid investment over the last 20 years. So I'm sorry you didn't make those choices. I wish you wouldn't raise our rates. I wish you'd actually pursue efficiency, because it has always created more wealth. Every community that's decarbonized and pursued efficiency has generated more wealth in this organization and in the public organization. So I'm sorry that you've managed us into this bad corner of having to continually pay more money for dirty fuels. Now, you guys collected mercury, according to the President's report, in an ash or in some sort of absorbent. Now you're proud of that because it didn't go in the air, but I'm disappointed that that's going to go into the dump, which is ultimately going to go into the groundwater. You're going to have to dispose of that mercury somewhere, so heavy metals in the dump is not any better than heavy metals in the air. Ultimately, it's going to end up in our groundwater, which is where your mercury is currently ending up in our fish. So continuing to patchwork dirty fuels, I think, is just a bad mistake. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.